Right, the samurai, determined or indoctrinated. What do I mean by this? Right, basically, it says in here and in the book of Ninja, both my books, it says that when you want to capture someone, if they're a samurai, do it fast, because their determination will not change. If they are holed up somewhere or on the run, they're not going to give up, they're going to keep going, it's do or die. But it says with a farmer or a peasant, do it slowly, meaning that over time their resolve changes, they decrease, they maybe will give up. So what this implies, or what this is directly saying, is that a samurai has determination to what we understand, and that a farmer doesn't have that type of determination. So let's get something down, let's get some basic facts down. Right, we've got indoctrination, which means when you're growing up, people like talking to you, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. For example, we stop at red lights, that's an indoctrinated action. You shake someone's hand, and then if you go to the extreme level, you've got Islamic terrorists, or Irish terrorists, IRA, or any other radical group where they will literally strap bombs themselves, go and blow people up or assassinate people, kill them. Now, you've got to ask the question is, why are all these people in this one faction doing these really extreme things? That's indoctrination. Their belief, like mass suicide is indoctrination. So the question is, are samurai indoctrinated to be like that? Like they literally will be brought up and you have to do this, you have to do that, you've got to be determined, you can never give up, bang, 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 bang. Or is it a case of that those who are determined rise to the samurai class? Now, this opens another branch of the discussion. You have to remember that samurai, there are two very distinct things to remember. One is in that the earlier time of the samurai period, while it's hereditary and you can be passed on to father to son, people who are determined, who literally get to the top and who are good fighters, are awarded samurai status and can become samurai, and then they can leave samurai. It's a very complicated, and I still don't have a full grasp on it, but what it takes to be a samurai in the early samurai period. Whereas in the Edo period, in the later samurai period, you have to be born into it pretty much. It's almost a locked caste system. So that means that you could say in the earlier period of the samurai, it was easy for determined people to be at the top, because those who were determined ended up there. That they had a way to get there, they had a way to do it. Whereas in the Edo period, they must be sort of indoctrinated, because there's no way for determined people to rise and get to the next level. So of course, a further aspect of this is you have to assume that they are both right, that the samurai don't give up, but probably they do. Now, but I think we have to take that as a general term, meaning that most, i.e. 95% of samurai will go to the death and the 5% won't. That's because, it's the same when you get these terrorist attacks and they've shot everyone, or everyone but one, and he was only shot in the leg and they captured him. Like, they just didn't give up till they died. That is a classic example of mass indoctrination, to the point where you're so determined that you will go to the death. Most people will not go to the death. They'll be like, no, I'm fighting for this cause, but not that much. So let's bring it back. So I have no answer for this, guys, and there's no tangible way to analyse this, but I would like you to just think about it, put some comments below, spread this around YouTube, around Facebook, things like that, and try and get some more conversation going. So, are the samurai naturally at their position because they're determined people? Remembering that later on it's a caste system lockdown. So let's talk about the early samurai period, the actual warfare period. Samurai, rise up because they are naturally determined people. Or is it the fact that they are all indoctrinated from birth, the same as, an amazing example of this, and I use it often, is African soldier boys. So these young children who are taken and they become horrific murderers, chopping off people's arms, killing their own parents and blah, blah, blah. There's some horrible things on, things that would never dream of doing. They were just pulled from their villages, made to do this, put on drugs, pushed and pushed and pushed until they're just robotic soldiers. It's the same in the military. That is just another form of indoctrination. Indoctrination doesn't have to be negative, by the way. It can be positive indoctrination, like let's, you know, indoctrinating morals in people. You know, it can be positive, so don't use it only as a bad word. So the idea we've got is, are samurai indoctrinated or are they determined people? It's just an open discussion. I want you to use this as the platform to discuss it. Bring any articles you can, any things. What do you think? What does it take to be that determined? Is it possible for us to be that determined nowadays? Did it go too far and it became a bit silly and, like, you know, tradition locked down into a certain way where, you know, if you tap someone's sword it could be death? Or like there's the story again in the Book of Samurai where somebody touches another samurai on the head and it becomes, you know, you don't do that to another person, he just goes and then it's a fight to the death, and they have to all sign, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Oath to say they won't carry this on. It's such an important thing. It's just a tiny slap on the side of the head that most people will brush off, but that was a life or death situation. So did it go too far? What do you think? Make some response videos if you can, that would be great. Okay, my name's Anthony Cummins. Again, I've done this to promote the Book of Samurai. The information I'm talking about is in there. It's a 1600s translation. Get it, have a look, have a read, see what you think. Right, and I'll leave you to it. Subscribe. Bye-bye.